99, 100. Okay. That's how I always study. So you have an exam coming up, probably very soon. Maybe in the next 1 to 2 weeks, maybe in the next 1 to 2 days. Or maybe it's the beginning of the semester and you just want to get a head start into exam preparation. Yeah, let's not be ridiculous. You have an exam coming up very soon. And you want to know how to select the best study method for your exam. You want to study fast and efficient, and you want to get an excellent grade in your exam. Or maybe you just want to pass with the least amount of effort possible. Either way, I got you covered. I got you covered. Hey and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a German mechanical engineer based in Sweden. I have a bachelor and master's degree in mechanical engineering and a master's degree in innovation management and entrepreneurship, which means that I have taken and passed a load of different kinds of exams. My number one piece of advice I can give you is to always practice the way that you're expected to perform in the exam. What I mean by that is that if you're expected to answer questions during the exam, you should also be answering questions when you're studying. You shouldn't waste your time just reading and summarizing the lecture slides. If you're expected to solve math problems in your exam, then you should also be solving math problems when you're studying. You shouldn't waste your time just looking at example solutions. In fact, and this could be controversial, I don't do any summarizing at all. None. No, never. I used to do that, but I realized that I can use my time much more efficiently if I skip that step and get right to the core of what's expected of me during the exam. So here are 3 simple steps to cut the fluff and figure out the most efficient study method for your exam. Step 1. Identify the question styles. So step 1 of figuring out the right study method will be to identify exactly what you're going to be asked to do during the exam. Ideally, you would ask this to your professor ahead of time and not think about this 2 days before the exam, but we do what we can. And then you're just going to list the different kinds of questions or tasks you're gonna have to fulfill. This could be just one type of task for the entire exam or a mix of different styles. For example, multiple choice questions, open questions with a short answer, math problems, drawing and or labeling a sketch, text form problems, and essays. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other types that I missed. So now that we have our list of different styles of questions or tasks that we have to complete, let's move on to step number 2, break it down into skills. Break down each type of exam question into the different tasks you will have to do. This is only relevant for the more complex types of exams. For example, for the multiple choice questions, you only have to read the question and select the right answer. But if you have to solve a math problem, you might have to first figure out which is the right formula to use and then apply that formula. If you have to solve a text form problem, then you first have to extract the problem from the text and then formulate your answer. If you have to write an essay, you have to understand the problem, identify the core of your answer, plan out the rough structure of your essay, and then write an introduction, main body, and a conclusion. And you want to practice all the different skills that you need, both separately and together. You want to practice them separately because then you can figure out what your weak spots are and focus more on those and therefore use your time more efficiently. You also want to practice them together and under time pressure because this gives you the full exam experience and gives you the confidence that you can succeed on the entire exam. A lot of exam preparation is actually about building confidence because your mental attitude can have a huge impact on how well you do. So now that we have identified the exam styles and broken them down into skills, let's move on to step number 3, prepare the study material for each skill. I try to always go for quantity in study material rather than quality, especially for exams where you have to learn things by heart. What I mean by that is that I would rather come up with as many questions as I can that all cover a little piece of the material I need to learn than formulate the perfect question that covers all of the material, but then takes forever to answer. Breaking everything down into as many different study materials as possible has 2 main benefits. It makes them very easy to remember by themselves, and it makes it easy to sort between things that you know and things that you don't know yet. I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video where I show you exactly how I prepare study materials for an exam. But essentially what I do is I come up with as many questions as possible to cover all the material, then make a digital flashcard for each question, and then use spaced repetition to study all the flashcards until I know them by heart. And I recommend using the software Anki for this process, or Anki, I don't know. So what can these study materials look like? If you have to solve math problems, that means gathering as many example math problems as possible. as you can. Ideally mock exams or old exams from your professor if you can get them. You can also try to find math problems online. Either way, it's important that you spend most of your time solving these problems and not just looking at the solutions. If there are formulas you need to know by heart, make flashcards for them. If you need to be able to select the right formula based on the problem, make flashcards with math problems where you have to select the right formula. If you have to answer multiple choice questions or open questions, make flashcards for those as well, so that you can answer as many questions as possible while practicing. practicing. If you have to explain a complicated concept in a lot of detail, write down all the details that you need to be able to explain, and then formulate a question to cover each of these details, so that if you can answer all these questions, then you're able to explain all of the concepts. Okay, now that you have identified the question styles, broken them down into skills, and prepared your study materials, it's time to put your head down and study. This should be the part that you put the most time into. The 3 steps before are just to make sure that you use your study time in the most effective way possible. If you want to learn more about how I prepare my study materials and how I study them most efficiently, you can check out my video on how I remember everything for my engineering exams, where I deep dive into all of that, which I'm gonna link right here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in my next video.